Another day, another story. Hi everyone. In this video we are going to see the short explanation on prose called The Last Lesson, written by Alphonse Daudet. Before starting, let's see some characters of the lesson. Franz, the narrator. The narrator of the story. Franz is a young schoolboy in the French region of Alsace-Lorraine in the 19th century. M. Hamel, the schoolmaster of a small village school in the French region of Alsace-Lorraine. And some minor characters are: Old Hausa, one of the elder villagers who gathers with the children in M. Hamel's classroom to hear the last lesson. Prussian soldiers, forces of the occupying Prussian power, which has invaded the French region of Alsace-Lorraine and claimed it for Prussia. Wachter, a blacksmith in a village in the French region of Alsace-Lorraine. Let's start the explanation. One morning Franz was late for school. His teacher, M. Hamel, had told his class that he would be asking questions on participles on that day. Franz felt like bunking school for a moment. But he resisted in the urge and went to school. On his way to school, he saw people crowded in front of the bulletin board, and, as usual, he assumed that there was some bad news. It had been happening since Prussia took control over their district of Alsace. The day felt unusual compared to regular days, as there was no noise in the classroom. Everything was quiet, and instead of being scolded by M. Hamel, Franz was asked to go to his seat quickly. He noticed something odd about his teacher. M. Hamel was not wearing his usual clothes. He wore clothes only meant for school inspection or prize days. Another odd thing that day about the school was that most of the villagers, including the former mayor, former postmaster, etc., were sitting on the back benches and looked sad. As the class began, the teacher, M. Hamel, announced that this was his last French lesson for his students, as the Prussians had announced that French would no longer be taught in schools. After hearing this, Franz felt guilt and started worrying. He realized what the bad news on the bulletin board was. French was no longer to be taught in schools of Alsace-Lorraine. Franz felt sorry about bunking his classes and not bothering about his lessons. He realized the villagers had come there to pay their respects to M. Hamels for his 40 years of service as a teacher. It was also about showing respect for their country, which was not theirs anymore. When it was Franz's turn to recite, M. Hamel was patient. He did not scold Franz. He went on to discuss their district's problem, the assumption that they always had plenty of time. That is how the students lagged in their lessons, because they had taken their freedom and time for granted. Then M. Hamel blamed himself and Franz's parents for making him do some odd jobs for money rather than letting him focus on his studies. M. Hamel went on to talk about the beauty of French, their mother tongue, and how everyone should hold on to it even if it were not taught at schools. He explained that when people are enslaved, the only key to regain their freedom is in the common language that they share. He had brought new copies for the students and decorated the classroom for them. Franz felt that everything his teacher was teaching was clear and easy to understand. He blamed himself for not listening to the lessons properly. Franz discovered that M. Hamel was supposed to leave the country. He realized how difficult it must have been for his teacher to leave a place that he had stayed and served in for 40 years. As the clock struck 12 and the Prussians blew their trumpets, the class ended, and M. Hamel said goodbye to his class by writing "Vive la France" on the blackboard since he was too emotional to speak. He leaned his head against the wall and made a gesture with his hand, implying that the school was dismissed. Thanks for watching.